Um, Today is 9/11, which if you live in the U.S. is quite a memorable day. If you live throughout the world, you still know the importance of 9/11 to us Americans. So from that vantage point, I'm going to discuss a couple of things. When 9/11 happened, there was a lot going on. I'm going to kind of discuss what was in my mind as 9/11 occurred, and just maybe that'll give it to reality to some of the folks that may be younger and not have been alive when all that took place. So the first thing I would point out is I was at work. I worked at the time for the state of North Carolina in what was commonly known as the unemployment office. And as you might guess, in the past few years, there have been tons of people out of work, so our work is never ending. There's always a ton of people to see. There's always calls to respond to, etc. So on that given day, I was hard at work. When I got the first notification by my supervisor that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, well, first of all, let me point out that I've lived in North Carolina all my life. So while I know what the World Trade Center is in general, I really didn't have a good feel for it. And it was a big building in New York. Secondly, when he said a plane had gone into the World Trade Center, I'm thinking it's like the kid down in Florida that flew his little prop plane into a building down there. So I'm not thinking it's any big deal. In fact, I think it's like, what a dummy. Can't they see a big building like that? Are they blind? And of course, I was in the midst of working with tons of people, so I just kept right on clicking through. And sometime later, the second plane crashed into the second building. And myself and our clients, customers, whatever, all of us, I think, realized the gravity and the reality that we'd been attacked. And it was a sensation that's hard to describe, a feeling of numbness. Your stomach is just feeling weird, sort of like jelly, but not exactly. So anyhow, we, of course, heard what was going on, and although I still had people to see, as time went on, we all hovered around the one TV set that was available at the time, which was one little TV set that had no cable access and only got like one local channel. But that local channel, by the time the second plane hit, they realized the gravity, and so they were covering the situation on an ongoing basis. So as I'd work with somebody, I'd take a break, and when I walked by the TV, I'd check to see what was happening. And I was eagerly awaiting my lunch hour so that I could see even more about what was going on. In fact, in one occasion, I assisted a gentleman that afternoon. He left for New Jersey, the section that is literally right across the water from New York City, on a construction-related job that his union had told him about. So he gets there bright and early, and I forget how many hours it takes from North Carolina to get to New Jersey, but he got there in plenty of time. And the weird thing was, here's this job that's pretty much already been set up, and the guy comes out and says, well, we just aren't really sure about the job. There's a possibility it may not come off. Pretty much this guy was looking towards the construction building and not towards New York. But then folks began to look at New York, and they could see the clouds of black smoke coming off and knew something terrible had happened, and found out that in fact New York had been attacked, and what had happened is the job that he was to do was put on hold because who knew what was happening and what in New York was there and what wasn't. So he came back to North Carolina and ended up talking to me. It was really incredible. In the time after 9/11, I remember talking to folks from New York who had had to go up for funerals, and they said that the strangest thing about the funerals was that there were no bodies, and it was difficult to know what to say to those families because the people just disappeared like a puff of smoke. And they said at a certain point, after you've gone to so many funerals, you sort of become deadened to that fact. And of course you say that you're concerned with the person, but your mind has gone a different place. So all these things come to mind when I think of 9/11, and I know that there are others that have other thoughts that are even more bright and clear in their mind than mine. Another personal aside is my father had found out not too long before this that he had pancreatic cancer. I will forever associate 9/11 with him finding out that that was in fact a terminal situation. But I gotta give Daddy credit. He was such a trooper, such a brave man, and he said, you know, there was all kinds of people in those towers that died. There were babies that never had a chance to live their lives. He said, I've lived a full life, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm sorry that they didn't get the chance to do the same thing. So as I leave you this video for today, 9/11, I hope you'll think about what transpired and keep in mind those families that are still in a state of loss. Thank you for listening. God bless America. Have a great day.